All right, let's go to Chris Franklin. He joins us right now here on Birds 365. You can follow him at C Franklin News. Chris, welcome to the program, my friend. How you doing this Tuesday morning?
Not bad. I feel like a WWE heel turn.
Well, that's right. You got to
happened.
turn eventually. You got to go. You can't be a baby face forever. You got to go heel.
But there's always a plan B. And next, I'll just have a chair ready to go. If it ever changes, I'll make sure I have a steel chair ready for one of you guys.
That's right. I'm coming for you, buddy. That's not like the media's coming for the Eagles. Boy, it drives. Does it drive you nuts when, like, D-Gun will put something out or Diana will put something out, and people will attack them? Like they're not making shit up. It's stuff that's going on with the Eagles. Now it's interesting because the Eagles have this success. They keep winning games. They're 40-2. You saw that. They put that out there. That even, I was like, really? They're 40-2 when they win the turnover battle? This is insane, Chris, but it's also ugly. Where are you on that scale?
There are times I feel like this is college football in the sense that you want to see the style points be better. You want to see them win with style points. It's a good thing it's not like the BCS or the college football playoff where they have to have a committee to let them in, because right now they probably be like a 6 or 7 seed instead of up there higher. But I think you get that feel a little bit. And over time, I think the main thing everybody wants to see is consistency and performing a lot better when you have that many, especially on the offensive side. You have that many high price players on there, and they're not performing as well as they should be performing. And when it comes to the media thing, it depends. For me personally, for me, it's just more like who says it. Because if you get like a Nick Wright, who constantly
I'm reporters versus. I think there's a difference, and now, but I'm a perfect example. I mean, you have to do both now, but there's some that only do one, and certainly the guys that just talk behind a microphone are not going to have the same credibility of people, who are reporters and doing both. And yeah, so it's hard sometimes to know the difference, although it shouldn't be. You bring up a certain someone, it shouldn't be hard to figure out that, he's different than those people that I mentioned before. Should it be that hard? Is it that hard?
I don't know.
Sometimes the lines blur a lot. And I know personally, one of the two people you mentioned as that I believe more than maybe the other person just by longevity, and I'll just leave it at that. Sometimes I don't know it's like sometimes, but longevity, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, Diana's taking a lot of hits.
Well, I may not be down there every day. I think I've heard maybe from a few people that maybe that one of the people might be somebody who's associated with another team who would like AJ Brown.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's to me, like all the stuff, and I tried to explain it on this show, was not coming from the Eagles. It was coming from outside the organization of people hoping to acquire, because that's what GMs do, right? They look around the league. They say, well, AJ's not happy. Maybe I'll call them and see if they're willing. And that's what happens. So
you take the grenade, you take the pen out, and you throw it and just watch it laugh sometimes a little bit.
And that's what Howie does, by the way. He looks around the league and he says, oh, Miami's an absolute shit show that just fired their GM. Let me see if I can get Jalen Phillips. That's what you do.
Yep.
So, but if somebody in New England, shall we say, says, maybe we can get AJ Brown, and they tell Diana that, she's not making shit up. She's just saying what they think. And hey, maybe if we push, maybe we can get the Eagles to come off. And by the way, I'm starting to think the Eagles are going to come off in the offseason, Chris. I think they're like, if things continue this way, I have gone past the needle and saying, if we're going 50-50, I'm hire AJ's out if things continue to go this way the rest of the season, and the Eagles obviously don't win the Super Bowl, I would say for the first time, I'm leaning more towards they're going to move on than he's going to be back. Have you reached that point?
Not yet. I'm not there. It's getting closer. I like feel like if it really starts to be 2023-ish and the stuff continues to happen, then I'm getting there. I'm not there just yet. I still think when you look at overall, I still take AJ's comments at face value that he still wants to be here. That still someone I know he's got he and Vrabel have that relationship still that they're really cool with. But then also I think the Patriots know that, so they try to lowball the Eagles now, which is just the way the business when it comes to that works. But I think overall, I'm not just there just yet. There's still some time, I think. And I was listening to you guys when you're talking about like, hey, relationships and what have you being that like all that stuff. Like, as long as it's like a business relationship and nobody goes fighting anybody in the locker room, or is that saying that there was disruptions or anything, and there's wrestling matches or what have you, or what have you, a la 2005-ish, 2006, something like that. Then yeah, then I think that for right now, I still think they'll do that. Maybe to make other changes, like tweet somebody else, or if somebody else comes available, maybe you look at them, maybe call plays, what have you. I think they'd go that route first before.
Well, they have to lose for any of it, and I don't know if they're going to lose. Who the hell's going to beat this team, Chris Franklin?
Commanders in week 18 when everybody else is
when nobody's playing. Yeah, that's possible. All right, so I'll say who's going to beat them in a actual meaningful environment. Opened up my email yesterday when the internet was working, and all of a sudden I get all these, you get these betting emails, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden the Philadelphia Eagles are the favorite to not only go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, Chris Franklin. They are now the favorites in most betting markets to win the Super Bowl. And I can't disagree with that. Who's better?
Honestly, nobody in the UFC. I mean, even though Denver's number one, I know the defense is really good. We saw that. That's asking a lot for Bo Nix. Like, we need Bo Nix to take it to another level. I don't know if he has that in him. I don't know if he has it in him. He's not. To me, he hasn't shown. He's just like a middling guy. The team, Buffalo Bills, sure they can catch fire, but again, I look overall offensively, it's a bunch of Josh Allen and James Cook event here and there. It's just nobody I really see it. And then looking at the NFC, maybe the Rams, but you saw the Eagles beat them. The Eagles have all the tiebreakers where everybody's very good. And then the only way that happens is if they lose a few games, and it's not because of the actual roster, but just based on location. If Seattle won the 1 seed, everybody would travel there. Just because of history, just because of traveling to Seattle, what have you, then I think that's where you start to really question. But it's definitely not because of the roster.
Well, you got Sam Darnold. That's going to be an interesting game. If that's the NFC Championship game, and you're going to have the Seahawks trying to throw the ball all over the lots, with a guy who takes chances against the Eagles, who are their hyper cautious, hyper ball security driven, boring, unaesthetic offense. I'm taking the boring, unaesthetic offense versus the 3 interceptions in the NFC Championship game.
By a lot, because also I was looking before last week. When you look at their offense and like especially passing, Jackson Smith and Jigba had like 1,000 yards, and I think his target share was something crazy. And that one too. The next person behind him was Cooper Kupp at like 367 receiving. Is that much disparity? You stop him, you stop the passing offense. And I just don't. And then their run game's pedestrian at best with Walker and Charbonnet. So yeah, they're really in a real good spot. It's just one of those things where you want to see the offense give you that. Well, in case the defense does let up or the defense does slip up and not play as that very high level they're playing at right now. My goodness, that defense is playing well. But just in case they slip up and they struggle against somebody for whatever reason, you want to know that, you know what? it's okay. The offense can step up and do that right now.
Well, I don't have that confidence at all. I mean, I don't know how anybody could. We don't run the ball well. We don't pass the ball well. The only thing we do well offensively is we score more points than the other team, which equates to wins. A lot of that has to do with the defense, but that's it. I mean, Chris, they don't do anything well on offense. Let's be real. Not this year.
But don't they run the stop routes, the go routes, and the same 3 routes? I'm just kidding. They do that well now. No, but overall, yeah, it's right now. It's a lot. It's gonna be a lot of soul searching on that side of the ball. Find out. I mean, you should have the ultimate cure all next week in the Cowboys defense. That should light you up, but
now they got Quinnen Williams. They look pretty good. Well, bad team, but they looked a lot.
Yeah.
Overshawn's back. Very athletic. They look a little bit better, and they can throw the ball. I think it's going to be different. Chris, you were there. I think, and I blame myself here, I did not take into account. Look, the Eagles defense played great, but Dan Campbell was out there talking at his Monday conference, talking about how great his defense was. That wind was really difficult to deal with, talking with the players. It's like, yes, the Eagles defense was great, but so was the Detroit defense. So how much do we weigh that? Like, I'm very interested in this Dallas game because Dallas is a good offensive team and they're a bad defensive team. So I want to see what the defense does against a good offensive team in a pristine environment. And I want to see this Eagles offense against a bad defense in a pristine environment, because they better damn well be better. You can make a little bit of a crutch and say the weather in Green Bay, the weather on Sunday night. Dallas, it's perfect conditions. So something's got to give this week.
But also, Dallas is a place where, besides last year, they've always struggled at.
Oh, always, yeah.
So that's I factor that in a little bit. So but I think a lot of the stuff the defense did right. I think Dan Campbell helped them out when it came to field position a lot, because even when he was going with the win, to me it was reverse. Like, it was like watching weird call after weird decision after weird decision after weird decision, because you decide to you had to win at your back, if anything. And it was moving to one direction a little bit, but you had to win the right. You expect your kicker to be able to adjust it. Elliott made it from the one same side. Why couldn't your own kicker do that? So that's why I looked at it a little bit like, what was Dan Campbell doing? Because I think they could have had it. That game should have been.
Yeah, it wasn't a good game for Dan Campbell. He's dropping back. He's play action. It's like, what are you doing, dude? You can't block him. Yeah, it was a bad game. John Morton, he should demote himself for John Morton.
It wasn't a great offensive game plan for the Eagles either. I mean, they came out trying to pass the ball in that weather. I didn't really understand that, but it is what it is. Vince, Chris, let's move to the other side here. Defense, how impressed, how surprised are you by how good they've been? It's one thing to be good. They're like back to dominating form. I understand the weather had a factor 2 weeks, but 16 points versus the Packers and the Lions, Chris. If you told me that at the beginning of the year, I'd have said, you're crazy. What do you make of the defense?
This reminds me of the Fangio Bears a lot. Even if you go this defense is probably one of the best seen in a very, very long time. And we've seen some of these units even last year's. We saw last year's unit, we saw the other ones. That I think this one, and even with the Dory Jackson, we play a lot better. Even like this one of the best. You want a Dory? Yeah, even with a Dory, this thing looks like it's all right. I mean, you see what difference Jalen Fields and the pass rush makes. So now you see everything fall into place how it's supposed to be. That defensive line should have been playing overall, and that they had Nolan Smith back and everything else. And Quinyon Mitchell, he's all pro for sure. Yeah, all pro for sure. He's gotta be in the defensive player of the year talk. He has to, because when you face that many teams, the top receiver of that many teams, when you're traveling as much as you can, when you're limiting the completion percentage, when you got that, it's crazy. It's like, it's Revis, not saying he's Revis, but it's Revis-like in a way in this day and age, how many teams throw the ball. So he deserves to be in the defensive player of the year route, and Group's doing a good job. And I mean, listen, one of these coaches, one of these assistants are going to get a defensive coordinator job next year. Like personally, I think it's Christian Parker because I think you look at the way he's developed over time. I think he might be a guy, but they're losing.
Clint Hurts too, man. I think Clint Hurts.
Yeah, especially with the
Clint
way he's
Hurts,
on.
Bobby King deserves some love.
Yeah, Bobby King,
CP,
absolutely.
but I think you're right. CP's the guy who's sort of like the young guy that everybody looks at that is the hot candidate. I do think he'll be the first.
Mitchell, that's a good
Well, yeah, you've seen some guys. Gilmore won Defensive Player of the Year. Revis, Surtain. Got to get a few picks though. Got to get. You know how these idiots, and I'm one of the voters, and we're idiots. You got to get a few picks to bid in that Defensive Player of the Year conversation. But he's playing at a high level. There's no doubt about that, and so is Cooper. And you know what? Makuba's getting better and better. Nakobe back. I thought he's brought energy and physicality to this defense. And then Vic, man. Vic's part of it as well because he's got a feel for the game that few have. And like, he doesn't blitz a lot, but he blitz it seemingly always blitzes at the right moment. It's just got a feel for the game that few have.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, Nakobe, you mentioned Nakobe, that he surprised me a lot. I thought he did an extremely great job last against the Lions because the matchup that really scared me was that Campbell would motion somebody over and have one-on-one with him and Gibbs a lot more, and we're seeing that wheel route happen, and then you're holding your breath a lot. And
well, that was the only thing they had was Gibbs sort of in the passing game. What do you have? 5 catches for 100-something yards.
Yeah,
that's about the only thing they did have, which is, you'll take that because that guy's a tough matchup. Boy, even in that game, even in that performance, everybody was like, that's when I was talking to defensive players, Chris, they were like, wow.
I've never seen somebody escape NFL talent on defense that easy. I mean, they're like within an arm's length of him, and they still can't touch the guy. It's amazing how good he is in space.
It's crazy, everybody, and myself included, when they're thinking like, oh, he's going to fall at 24. He'll be 24, 25 in the draft. Nah, there's a reason why with that high.
People are starting to speaking of, there's some running back this year. Have you seen Jeremiah Love?
Oh my gosh, yeah, the Notre Dame kid is a
stud. My Lord.
He's a stud.
Not yet, because I know it's sacrilegious to say this, but I usually, when I do my other stuff, I do that, but usually Notre Dame is usually lower on my list for personal reasons.
Well, you gotta watch that kid. I think he might be a top 10 pick as a running back. I mean, he is insanely gifted, and he can do everything. He can pass protect. I've never seen a running back in this era that could pass protect.
Wait, they do what?
Exactly.
That's a miss. You're allowed to do that?
It's almost like I hesitate. Now this is going to be hyperbole, but I'm going to say it anyway. He's almost like Emmitt Smith with more athleticism. He does everything. He's a good pass receiver. He blocks, and obviously he's a great runner. Boy, I'm taking that kid in the top 10.
Taking that out of context, John.
Yeah, I'm taking that kid in the top 10. If he's not in the top 10, we're not doing this right. We're not doing this right anymore.
Interesting. Chris, got to ask you about the offense. I know. I keep telling John, I've reached an enlightenment period, Chris, where I no longer have any expectation for the offense for a defensive football team, but we got to talk about it every day. Where do you put how do you see the ineptness of the offense? A lot of fans go right to Patullo. They go, Patullo sucks. A lot of people say it's Nick Sirianni's philosophy. There is also a section of the fan base, as evidenced in the JAKIB comments, that it's the quarterback who is the reason that they run the offense that they do, because he's not a high-volume thrower of the football. What do you think of the offense? Where do you think the problem lies? Or do you think there's no problem at all? It's just not pretty.
I mean, that last part, no problem at all. It's definitely a problem.
Yes, you think there's no problem. All right, good.
I'll explain the hierarchy when it comes to this and how I feel like it relates to each one. Let's start with Patullo. I'm one of those guys. I start with it just because of the play design, because of the way you motion it. Some of the play calls itself, like they ran that weird running back offset on 3rd and short. We didn't really need to do that in the orbit motion.
I like that. I like that play because it was something different. But when it doesn't work,
I just can't. And I see them like, no, this isn't it. Like, especially in that situation, when you look at like the deep at the front and say the waist, like, nah, I didn't like that one. So when I look at the play calling and the issues you have, then you put the quarterback in a weird position. If you keep doing the audibles and you try to check out there, then you had create another issue on another front. The quarterback runs a play, he does that one too. It doesn't look like he's comfortable with some of the stuff. He's gotten more comfortable being under center. And yeah, he could throw the ball, anticipate it more in some of his zone stuff, which is another reason why I'm like next week with a team that plays a lot of zone. So I don't think it's going to be that much of a cakewalk, but you could build a lot of zone. He wants to play. He's also risk averse. He doesn't want to turn the ball over. So you don't want to turn the ball over. Now you get your receivers, and sometimes that really makes them frustrated because now you're looking like, okay, hey, I know if I'm AJ, I'm running. If you look at the route charts, it's slant, stop, go. No advanced trusting your offensive line to do deep crossers or deep digs or
can't throw it. You can't throw it in the middle of the field. Yeah,
is
God
that
forbid.
all, Chris? If you think about it, like if your head coach is telling you we got to play risk averse football, and you're the coordinator, you now can't call plays to the middle of the field. You can't call plays that require progression reading. You don't call anything. Like, in my opinion, yes, Kevin Patullo's routes suck, but he's calling an offense where he's limited. I can't open up the playbook. I can't have AJ run across the middle because now I'm taking on risk, and I don't want to take on risk. They don't want to turn the football over. They're 40-2 when they win the turnover battle. So I'm not saying it doesn't work, but my question is, how limited is Kevin Patullo and what he's even allowed to call or run within this scheme that Nick Sirianni has implemented with Jalen Hurts?
You can get, even if you can still get, if to run routes, you can run concepts that are able to make them get some separation in order to make the quarterback feel a lot better by even running that. Like, say you just motion one way, you have him go across like a deeper cross around that, especially if you're facing in zone where if you have going to cover 3 and you have the one guy going one way and that's else, there's windows that are open. And you can get matchups against, say, you move them more, you move AJ to the slot a little bit more. You get him free up on a nickel corner, and you tell me AJ can't beat that across the middle. I think little things like that.
Well, they want to throw it is the question. I mean, they don't seem to want to put the ball in any sort of, like, Chris, if you want to make plays in the passing game in the NFL, it inherently has risk. Right. There's cornerbacks on the field. There's defensive backs on the field. There's a defense on the field. That's why I think they throw outside the numbers. They only throw to AJ when there's man coverage. I mean, I don't know. I think blaming it on Patullo is.
It's not 100% Patullo. It's not 100%.
No,
he deserves. If I'm divvying up if this is Thanksgiving's coming over, I'm divvying up a sweet potato pie right now. It's like, hey, you know what? You Patullo, this is a blaine pie. It tastes like bitter, and nobody putting no seasoning or put no seasoning in it for Thanksgiving Day. Nobody putting no seasoning.
I'm going if I have my blame pie, Chris, I'm going. You got to go Sirianni before you go Patullo.
I agree.
I mean, it's his offense, but I'm hesitant to. And by the way, Nick will say that he'll say it's my fault first, but so I don't have a problem saying that. But I do have an issue. Like, Kevin's been in the NFL since
16 years, I think he's been in the NFL.
2007. Well, he had 1 year in Texas A&M. So when he left the Jets and then came back to the Colts. So 2007, essentially. I mean, come on. The guy doesn't know a route concept. I'll tell you what. You talk about imposter syndrome. What if this guy is this clueless? Boy, Kansas City and Buffalo and Tennessee and the Jets and the Colts and now the Eagles. Boy, he has impostered his way through a lot of stuff. And I've talked to him enough to know he's a pretty smart guy. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. It's like the same thing with Sirianni when you heard with they have no hot routes, Chris. They have no hot routes. I'm like, high school has hot routes. The guy's been in the NFL. He had Phillip Rivers. All they ran with Phillip Rivers was hot routes at certain points. you build to the strengths of your players. And have the Eagles gone overboard with being risk averse? Maybe. I think certainly from an aesthetic standpoint. But then you look at 40-2, that's their record when they win the turnover battle. I don't know. I think I've accepted my enlightenment is different than Zander's. My enlightenment is, all right, it's ugly as shit, but I can't really kill it because they keep winning. That's sort of my enlightenment.
And I forgot this. The other thing I see with Patullo too is I want to see him set up the plays. If he's going to run one of those plays like that, running that weird one we saw early in the game, set it up so that we can run it later on to really get the team really thinking about that. 'Cause I know we've heard in the past. I think it was the first game, whatever, when he said, "No, we see a play we really like. We're just going to run the heck out of it, run." And I just the quote that Jordan Mailata said last year with Kellen Moore just stuck out with me. Like, he explained why they're running the play and they had so much stuff built off of each play to run it. I just want to see that.
I think sequencing is a big thing. John Morton was bringing that up in Detroit last week, coming up into the game. I thought it was interesting because he said, "Yeah, I have to get better at that." And I think that comes with experience. So I think that's part of it. But the funny thing about Kellen Moore is that was the worst offense he's ever had.
Yeah.
From a statistical standpoint. I mean, he had a bunch of high-powered offenses in Dallas and even with the Chargers. It was the worst offense he ever had. And when you have so many different guys ending up in the same place, and I'm talking about Nick Sirianni, I'm talking about Shane Steichen, I'm talking about Brian Johnson, I'm talking about Kellen Moore, and now Kevin Patullo. That's a lot of people, and they all end up in the same place. That's too much of a coincidence to me. And by the same place, I mean, it looks similar because you're building around the talent you have, and namely, you're building around the quarterback you have. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's what you're supposed to do. Or am I being too easy on all these
right,
guys?
Because as soon as Kellen Moore got down to the Saints, we see, especially with throw. We started seeing all this stuff. We see,
well, he wants to. You have enough demonstrated history with Kellen Moore to know what he wants to do. And what he wants to do is not what he did in Philadelphia. And by the way, I think that makes him a good coach.
It's simple. You adjust the offense to whatever you need to do. You want to win, just do as you can on that one too. And I just look at, I still look at there's ways like you can still. It's like everybody can still have their little wrinkles within each offense. I'm just waiting to see what the wrinkle, besides the 6 offensive linemen sets. I'm waiting to see what wrinkle that Patullo can really add that really makes things effective. I'm still waiting for him to set it up, and who knows? I mean, we're talking about it.
Maybe you'll see it in Tennessee next year when he gets scapegoated here. And
that's hilarious. Chris, does it have to get better? Like, they're 8-2. They beat the Lions. They beat the Packers. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Rams. They beat the Cowboys already. Does it even have to get better? Or is this just we want it to look better because they got all this talent assembled, or, at least on paper they had this talent assembled? Does it have to get better, or are they just going to keep winning?
It has to get better because you're going to see one of these teams that you played already that are in the playoff hunt already. You're going to see them again. You're going to see the Rams again. I feel that much confident.
Me too.
Whether we see the Lions again, I don't know, but you give Sean McVay. We saw last year. You keep beating them year after year to year. One of these years they're going to catch up and they're going to try to find. They may find something that he hasn't seen. And all of a sudden the light comes on and go, "Oh, I can do this against Vic Fangio." And then next thing you know, you're relying on offense. You need to find something. And the one thing I really look at is I still think of. Remember last year after the bye when they played the Browns, they looked awful. The next game after that, they got a little better and they started getting better at that. The one thing I'm thinking, okay, they came back from their bye, they had an awful game. This was another one. It's an extra game. Maybe it's just taking them a little bit longer this year before it finally all clicks together. And they go like, you know what? Playoffs going. All right, yeah. All right, cool. That I'm still thinking.
Well, I think you already saw it with some of those quarterback draws. I think as it gets later in the season towards the playoffs, I think I think the Jalen Hurts run game is going to be a bigger part. The quarterback design run game. I think they are holding that back. And it's starting to show up a little bit. At C Franklin News, make sure you follow Chris on the X platform if it's working. Hasn't been working this morning.
I think it just. I'm not sure.
You see on Blue Sky if it's not working. You see Blue Sky.
Yeah, check him out on Blue Sky as well. I never made that migration. Yeah, I never made that migration. But for all those who enjoy it by all means. Read obviously Chris at NJ.com. By the way, you were in the Lions locker room after. What was the reaction to the pass interference at the end of the game? Poor Rocky Sin Temple guy getting exposed on Lincoln Financial Field. Should be used to that, by the way.
There's various. He was part of the good. He was part of the good.
Yeah, he was part of the good.
Good stretch.
Good
run. Another one for me.
Yeah.
But in front of everybody, and he owned up saying, you know what, it's got to be a better spot. And then too, his two teammates next to him, when I asked him like, hey, what are you feeling? That's he's in shots here. He was like, no, hold on. So yeah, there was a little thing now too. I also asked Lee McNeil just overall, like, what he thought about the offense. Like, he's seen him twice now, and 3 times now, and seeing that. And he said basically it's the same thing. They're just big physical guys. They do what they want to do, the same thing over and over. So I'm like, well, you got another player's thing there. And Avante was just was like, cool to see Avante again now.
Yeah, Avante. Yeah. Saw him get a couple pictures, got Quignon's jersey. So he's a smart guy, Avante. Go get the All Pros jersey. And we haven't met because we have so much angst real quick. Lane Johnson, obviously, is going to be out for a little while, even though Nick holding on like grim death. We'll see. He's going to be out for a little while. I think, the history, they're not very good when Lane's not out there. But last year, past couple of years with Fred, they're able to persevere a little bit better. But that's a big loss, Chris. They've been lucky when it comes to injuries.
Yeah, and that's why that Fred Johnson reacquisition looks huge, because having Matt Pryor out there in the end, oh boy, it would have been really, really bad on that. But yeah, I look at it in the fact that in ways of you can hold on the opponents that you have right now, you can get by with that. You just hope that, Lane's ready and he's good to go. If he's like 70%, 60%, he's going to try to go. So that's my thing. But yeah, that's a huge loss. Maybe this necessitates some other changes as well too. Maybe you roll out some more. I don't know. Maybe this necessitates some more things you can do right now. But yeah, losing Lane again, just a calming presence on that offensive line, the steward of that offensive line. Yeah, that's a tough injury. You just hope that they're lucky that this happened now, as opposed to earlier this season when you had that really tough deadline, because then I don't think we'd see him in the one spot.
Yep, good stuff. Chris, appreciate you joining in today, man. Make sure you guys follow him at C Franklin News. Always great to get you on here, Chris. We appreciate you as always, brother. Thanks for doing it today. We'll talk to you again soon. All right, man?
I appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all. Thank y'all, everyone, watching. Have a good one.
All right.
Thanks, Chris.